Hey everyone, welcome to the Food and Tech Meetup. It's great to see all the new faces. Just curious, how many people is it their first time here tonight? Ooh, all right, awesome. Hopefully we can retain you for the next time so there's less hands and there's just more people. That'd be great. This is the Food and Tech Meetup. It's always wonderful to see new faces. Tonight we're doing things a little bit different. Normally we have the food and tech startups themselves highlighted, but tonight we put together some really awesome PR firms because everybody wants to get their word out about their startup and their products and initiatives. So hopefully you find a lot of value in this and you give us great feedback online. I always like to start with this slide because this is our membership slide. Thank you so much, everyone who continues to sign up on our platform, foodtechatx.com. I cross out the foodies, and I always highlight the foodies because that's kind of some jargon that I use because it's not really a group of people who just kind of get together and eat good food. We can do that. I love to do that. I'm watching Chef's Table. I'm going to like Vox Table and all the good restaurants around town. But it's really a group for people who are taking initiatives, starting up companies, leaders of activist initiatives and those sorts of things. So if you've got a project or a startup company that you're doing that's related to food and technology, that crossroads, this is the space for you to really contribute into the network, and the network will contribute back to you. So if you've got a food product that you want to sample, or if you've got a service you want to offer to the community, that's why this place exists. And so 25 new members since our last month meetup, so it's always good to see that. For the new folks who it's their first time here, how we do this is we do these in cycles of 5 meetups, and each meetup has a topic category. And so these are the topic categories. It's based around the food life cycle or the supply chain management. So you have your production, your processing, your distribution, consumption, and then depending on your political status, you've got waste and recovery. So, I like that joke, sorry. A lot of people, if you look at those cool infographics on Lifehacker and stuff like that, you don't usually see that category on there. So anyway, so that's how we do those. And we do the cycles at different venues around town. So we've done them at Tech Ranch, we've done them at Sustainable Food Center, we're doing them here at Capital Factory, and we're working on some cool venues. So if you got a cool venue that you want us to do it at, a cycle of meetups, let us know. This is a great picture here that I like. Is anyone familiar with foodtechconnect.com? Okay, handful of people. Well, you should. They're kind of like the leading edge of this crossroads of food and technology. They're talking about funding for these startups. They're talking about online boot camps, pretty much anything online. That's kind of what they're claiming ownership to. But every year they put together this map, if you will, of all the food and tech startups doing things. Every year they update it. And what makes me really sad about this map is that there's only about 4 companies that are out of Austin on this map. And I know that's not true. Where's yours at?
Recipe Box and Search.
Okay, well, you got acquired, so you're no longer. Like it's a bad thing you got acquired. If you guys don't know, Food on the Table, one of our speakers last time was Manuel, and he came out and gave out some mentorship, and they got acquired by, what's the name of Script? Yeah, I just call it Food Network because I don't know the real names, like Scripps or Incorporated or something like that. So I will circle that when I get back home. Thanks for the feedback, appreciate that. So there's only a handful of Austin ones that are reflected on this kind of international map. And I know there's so many more cool things that Austin's coming out of Austin in the food and tech innovation scene. And so I want to see more on this in 2016. And that's kind of what we're doing here in this meetup, is really trying to cultivate the food and tech ecosystem, because we really got something here. You might have not necessarily thought you were part of it, but I'm saying that you are. So, if you have any news and that sort of stuff, let us know, and we're going to help you, spread the word about that sort of stuff. This is just an example of just some of the initiatives that have participated in our group over the last year. There's so many more that are not represented on here that are coming out of Austin, but this is just kind of a handful. So we'll update this as we go, and we want to make sure that your logos are up here as you guys become more members and get more involved in the community. Who the heck is the guy speaking at the front? My name's Asiago. I know it's a cheesy nickname. Sorry. There gets old. I started this about a year ago, and it's been really a blessing to see it grow and continue to grow. I started this I was formerly the director of ops at Tech Ranch, and so I just said, I like food and I've got a space, so let's just start hosting it there. And so it's been really great to meet you all and see the community grow. And so I'm always up for, oh yeah, my credibility. That's what everyone asks me about. No, so I moved here about 6 years ago, and I've always worked in either food industry or tech industry. And I started to notice there was a lot of crossover and a lot of companies. For example, I used to work for greenling.com. They're a great example of a startup that's gone pretty large, that's kind of pioneering that food and technology space. So this is really cool, and I'm going to hand it off to the rest of the organizing team for tonight. It's gotten out of control. I remember when it just was me and a tray of pasta at Tech Ranch and some random people that came. And now, as you can see, it's kind of grown out of my hands. So I have a wonderful organizing team, and they're going to run the majority of the meetup tonight. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start with Moshika, since she's right to my right.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for coming today. My name is Moshika Sharma. I'm CEO of Tasterfy. And for Food and Tech, I actually help out with their social media and logistics. And because I am social media coordinator, and because this is a PR meetup, let's try something. Let's take out your phone and please follow at Food and Tech ATX and tweet about this event. That's all I ask. Thanks.
Now, is that owned or earned media?
Hey there, I'm Lexi Murray. I'm founder of Red Door Communications. We're a new PR firm here in Austin, Texas. And tonight what we have for you is a panel of 5 PR firms. We have global PR firms, regional PR firms, and some smaller PR firms. First, we have Spike Jones from Edelman. Edelman is the largest independent PR firm in the world. And we have Sarah Ballard from Weber Shandwick. Weber Shandwick just won PR Week's Agency of the Year, as well as Homes Report Agency of the Year. Congratulations. And we have Lisa ONeill from Newton ONeill Communications, and Jenny Greg Gorsick from Hahn Public Communications tonight. So starting, Daniel, do you have the clicker?
She still needs to do her opportunities thing.
Oh, okay. Moshika, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. All right, so the first opportunity was, tweeting us out. The second is that we will be taking inventory of all the different food and tech startups that are coming through this program. And, it's really great because we're trying to cultivate a community here. And it's one of those things that we really want to learn and understand the community, and it's all going to happen if you guys can give us that feedback. So we will be sending out a survey so you guys can tell us a little bit more about what you want from this and what you guys work for. And then the third thing is, if you guys do take that survey, we will be raffling out 2 tickets to. You can use these slides if you want. We'll be taking 2 tickets to the Robert Irvine live show on June 17th. And we do have a 20% off of the tickets as a Food and Tech Meetup member. So if you just want, if you don't win the raffle, you can definitely get that 20% off. But otherwise, please submit that survey so we can learn more about you. Thanks.
How do they get to the survey?
They go to the Food and Tech Meetup page and go to get the survey. And we'll be sending it out as well.
Thank you so much. So tonight what we have for you are case studies. So they're real life experiences that PR firms have, how they've moved the needle for food startups. And what we're going to be looking at tonight is case studies, and then we'll be doing a Q&A, and then there'll be a little bit of networking afterwards. So I told you a little bit about our PR firms that are here tonight. So kicking it off will be Spike Jones from Edelman. Spike is the Senior VP of Digital, and tonight Spike has a food case study for us.
Cool. So thanks for coming out, brothers and sisters. I move around. It's my ADD. I'm sorry. So I'll make this quick. I also talk quickly. I'm originally from Texas, and those two things don't usually go together. So if I start talking too fast, just tell me or throw something. I head up digital for the South for Edelman, and whenever people say we're the largest PR company in the world, there should also be like an echo on the world part, I think. But we do a lot of really cool things, and while I'm a digital guy, my bread and butter and where I come from is branding and from word of mouth. And so just from the few conversations that I've had already tonight, it sounds like word of mouth is something that everyone is interested in, something that everyone needs, because the case study I'm going to go through is a big budget case study because I do a lot of big brand work with Edelman. But a lot of things that we'll talk about actually will apply to you guys as well. And let me know if I miss anything, all right? Yes. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is even though I'm a digital guy, I want to hammer home that 90% of word of mouth recommendations happen offline. 90%. There are 3.3 billion conversations in the United States alone every single day about brands. 3.1 billion of those are not on Twitter, not on Facebook, not on any of the socials. They are face-to-face over a beer, on the phone with your friends, talking to your family, whatever that might be, right? Social's great. Social helps things travel very, very fast. But if I don't know you on social, I'm not really going to trust you as much as I would trust a friend or a family, right? A friend or family member. The other thing that we've learned about social is why people share things online. So the number one reason that people share a piece of content online, anybody take a guess?
It's cool.
Because it's cool. What else?
It's funny.
It's funny.
Bragging.
Bragging. Ego is the number one reason why a person shares a piece of content online. It makes them look good. Think about your Facebook feed, my friends. Think about your Twitter feed, all right? Ego. It makes them look good in front of their peers. Number two reason why people share things online is information, right? Specifically, a new piece of information or a complicated piece of information. And the third reason why they share things online is emotion. Right? And then when it comes to emotion, particularly surprise and delight and rage are the two reasons why they share those things online as well. The interesting thing about those three buckets, which I call ego, info, and emo, is that if you take those conversations offline, it's flipped. The number one reason why people share things offline in conversations is because it's emotional. Number two is informational. Number three is ego. That's probably because you already know me offline. You already know I'm an asshole, so I don't have to prove that I'm an egotistical guy, right? So whenever we create pieces of content that we want to travel, we take those three buckets of ego, info, and emo, and we try to fill them in that order, right? And sometimes, and we'll talk about that in a second, sometimes I can fill one, sometimes I can fill two, sometimes I can fill three. But the fact that remains, when we create pieces of content online, we want people to go offline and talk about it. Or when they have an experience offline, that they try a great new product, they want to go online and talk about it. And it's up to us to make that circle complete. Yeah, that makes sense? Cool. So when we talk about word of mouth a lot, we talk about ambassador programs. Now I want to be very, very clear when I talk about what an ambassador is. An ambassador is someone who spreads goodwill on behalf of a brand. They do not carry a sell sheet. They don't try to pimp a brand. They are an ambassador that spreads goodwill. That's what an ambassador is. When we think about ambassadors and ambassador programs, we think about these things. Number one, we want to reframe the conversation, all right? Think about this. You have a person, you have what that person cares about most in the world or gets very passionate about, and then you can be the conduit that connects those two things. Now, very rarely will you be the thing that they're going to get really excited about because we've already established what they like to talk about, themselves, right? But if you can be the thing that connects them and helps them talk about themselves even more, then you become that connector, right? You're the conduit, right? The number two thing is that we look for ambassadors based on passion. Now, influencers are great. Influencers fantastic. The thing about influencers, as you guys well know, is they have figured out how to organize and monetize. And if you want to get your products in front of them, you got to pay to play. And that's great because that's an awareness play for sure. But what we want to do is we want to find people who are passionate and create influence around them. And there's lots of ways we can do that. Number three is we want to make it very personal. So when we create ambassador programs, it's not ever, I'm a Nike ambassador. It's, I'm a running ambassador, right? We want to make it about them. We want to fill in the blank of I am a what? I am a Obama mama. I am a card-carrying member of the NRA. I'm neither of those things, but you get the idea, right? We want to create a barrier of entry. You know, when we invite ambassadors to come in, we'll talk about put a little skin in the game, and we can talk about that later. And then we also want, like I said, we want to complete that circle of online and offline. Now, I'm going to talk really quickly about a case study. It's these guys. You look at these guys and they go, they got a shit ton of money, and they do, all right? Have you seen the new branding for these guys? What is it? We have the meats, all right? Fallon out of North Carolina did their branding, right? But we went to Arby's and said, we can't get people talking about Arby's because Arby's is kind of gross. And we want to talk about something bigger, right? And so the whole thing about Arby's now is they're all about meat crafting. They're all about slicing meat. They're all about people that grill out, the people that love meat and love to talk about the crafting of meat. So now we can become part of this bigger conversation. So we created an ambassador program called the Meat Crafters, all right? And so we go out into the world and we find people that love meat, right? It's not based on how many Twitter followers they have. It's not based on how much influence they can give us, because we know we can create influence around them. And again, I can talk about that later in the Q&A. But again, we created this program called themeatcrafters.com. You go to themeatcrafters.com, you say, I love meat. We go, that's great. We want you to join. But why don't you tell us why? Little barrier of entry. You have to tell us why you want in. Now, we let everybody in, but we've got this guy who says, I don't need 140 characters. I fucking love meat, right? He's one of our best ambassadors. Whenever that happens, there's a welcome kit that comes in the mail, and it's very, very simple. It costs us about $3 to send this thing in the mail, but it's one of these things, it's like, you're one of us, man. We love meat, you love meat. I'm saying meat a lot, I apologize, but you get the idea. It's this thing that's inside, it's one of us, right? On all the stuff that we give them in this welcome kit, there's no Arby's branding. There's no Arby's logo. It's all about Meat Crafters. It's all about you. So when people see you and they go, where'd you get that t-shirt, man? Or that's a really cool business card. Where'd you get that thing? Then a conversation about the Meat Crafters happens, right? So I could go on and on. It's a whole big program. We've just launched it. We're probably about 3 or 4 months in. We're about to go to the next phase. But again, it's not about the brand. It's about the people's passion around that thing that they can become a part of something bigger than themselves. Make sense? I talked fast, I know, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. The next one is Sarah. She's VP at Weber Shanklin.
I'm actually going to stay seated if y'all don't mind, because I think I'm taller this way, to be honest. So switching gears a little bit, I have quite a bit of food in my background. My other big passion, what I've been focusing on the past couple of years, is technology. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a really cool piece of technology that we've been working with on behalf of our Qualcomm client. So for the folks in the room that may or may not be familiar with Qualcomm, they primarily make, and what they're known for, is semiconductors. But they have, and pretty much if you have any sort of connected device out there, it has something that Qualcomm has touched inside of it. They're business-to-business brands. They're based out of San Diego. Really, really innovative and a ton of fun to work with. We've been partnering with them for about the past year. And one of the pieces of technology that we are working on is a platform of theirs called Euphoria. And so is anyone in the room familiar with augmented reality? Okay, well, for those that are not, augmented reality is a technology capability that enables apps to see. So how that works is it's programmed into the application. It allows the user to, is able to reflect their real world environment into whatever else is inside the application. So whether that's something that goes with a toy, whether that's a game, whether that's a piece of training material that an enterprise might be using, AR allows that to happen. And if anyone here knows how to program an AR, I will come shake your hand afterward, because it is very, very complicated and you are a genius. So for what we did for Qualcomm, they were announcing a partnership with Mini Cooper. They actually just created a couple months ago the first augmented reality-based vehicle experience. So for those that follow what came out of CES just a couple months ago, it was all about connected cars. Connected cars were the next big thing. Everyone wants connectivity in their car. If anyone that has Wi-Fi in their car, it's definitely just been a different experience for those. And so we were coming to media with this a couple months after the big connected car craze. We needed to align with an announcement that was coming out of Shanghai. So our big challenge with this is, how do we get US media to care about this when they feel like they've just completely written everything they could possibly say about connected cars? And it's an announcement that's happening in Shanghai, which happens to be happening on a Sunday. So what we were able to do, and this is just a piece of some of our results, is to work with our network and really utilize the media relationships that we had, and found really, really great success in just how we were able to talk with media up front about what the expectations of this were. So a lot of that was, relying on what we were able to voice, being under embargo and really trying to keep this announcement under its hat, and promising these folks based on our relationships that what they were going to see was like something they had never seen before. And we're able to create these one-on-one experiences for folks to actually come and be able to try on the AR goggles, which if you haven't tried anything with AR and VR, it's a really, really fun and interesting experience. And really just plant some seeds for some great coverage for them across the world about another capability for AR. One of the challenges that we have when we pitch this is that media think it's just for gaming. So it's like, well, I covered this, I played a game, everyone talks about how this can be something else, but I need you to show me. So we were in a great position to be able to show people what they can do with AR and really, hopefully plant some seeds for whatever the next round of innovation that would be. Like I said, people are playing this around in healthcare and various training facilities, and it's really bringing a new life. There's a lot of capabilities, and I think a lot of that actually probably happened with developers here in Austin too, which is awesome. So,
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. Alrighty, so how many of you guys have heard of Benitos? All right, almost a third. When I used to ask that question, I would get zero, zip, nothing. So prior to founding Red Door, I was Benito's PR director. And what I have for you today is a case study of how PR helped this tiny little Austin startup food brand become a big national brand and the fastest growing natural chip company in the US. So in terms of the case study I'm going to present to you today, I'm going to give you a situation overview, I'm going to give you solutions, and then results. So when I came on to Benito's, I was employee number 5. I knew we had an amazing product. I knew it was great. But the problem was we had no ad budget, we had no money for marketing, and we were in about 650 stores nationwide, but mostly like mom and pop naturals and scattered across the country. We were not in any major media markets. We were not in New York, we are not in LA, we are not in San Francisco. And what little collateral we did have was mostly just fart jokes. But my challenge is this one? No.
The microphone.
My challenge as a PR director was, how am I going to secure national media coverage for this amazing product month over month? And I came up with 2 solutions. The first was, oh, fantastic. It was a 2-part solution. The first one was unique value proposition. This isn't a headline, it's not a tagline, it's the foundation of all your communication. Ask yourself, what do you have that the consumer wants that the competition doesn't offer? What is the reason someone buys your product? Distill that down into 1 sentence. And then the second part, thank you, Lisa. We'll go to the next one. Is a 360 PR plan. So as we know, media is changing a ton. In order to be relevant to the media and to be able to have conversation with the media about a product, you need to be where the media is and wrap your message around the media in a 360 way. So what that meant for the 360 PR plan I came up with for Benito's was traditional PR, media pitching, quarterly blogger campaigns. So I reached out, I vetted about 50 bloggers a season and did like seasonal campaigns like healthy back to school snacks or dude food for, healthy dude food for Super Bowl parties, that sort of thing. The third component was social. When you check out somebody, when you're checking somebody out, the media checks you out too, and they're gonna look at your social stream. So you want to have the message that you're pitching them to be consistent with what they're seeing in that social stream. And then the fourth component is third-party influencers. So with that, third-party influencers can be a lot of folks with food these days. It can be vegan, it can be paleo. What I selected for Benito's was media-savvy dietitians that wanted to be in the media, that were in the media, and then also healthy Hollywood moms. So celebrity moms, I would do Twitter product parties with them, and it would light up our Twitter feed, and also get Benito's on craft service tables at movies being shot in Austin and around the country. So results, I think that's it on the slides. So in terms of results, in about 6 months, what that looked like for Benito's, I was getting about 7 local to regional media hits and 1 nice big national one a month. 6 to 8 months, I was getting 1 to 3 national media hits and the needle was really starting to move. So on the outside, what that looked like was, wow, media, media, media. But really, on the inside, the way that was happening was that 360 PR plan. So like the first time I got Benito's on the Today Show, I connected with Joy Bauer on Twitter. It was just a regular Twitter connection. Hey, you know, followed her back, DM. The first time I got Benito's on Food Network, same thing, pitched Tomi Abador to be a part of our quarterly blogger campaigns, and she was, and I saw her at a trade show, and then she covered us. So my takeaway, what I'm offering you guys, is whether you're working with a global PR firm, a medium-sized PR firm, or you're doing it yourself, take the time and ask yourself, what do you have that the consumer wants, that the competition doesn't offer, and have that conversation with the media in a 360 way. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa ONeill, founder of ONeill Communications. Just a little bit about us, because we are smaller, but we have been around since '09. And just a boutique firm. We work with consumer businesses, not strictly food, and really no tech at all. But we do work with mid-sized and smallish hospitality, and there are some food folks in there. I got into the food thing way back more than 20 years ago because I married a restaurateur. And in fact, we celebrated 19 years today, so he's still in restaurants. Right? And I'm still doing PR. But we work with primarily organizations and companies who are here in the Austin area, although we have some, you know, scattered around the state here and there. And I've been doing this for more than 25 years, which is really strange to say. It doesn't feel like that long. Anyway, I'm here mainly because the Food Lab at University of Texas, one of our sample clients there, that's how I met Daniel, and who I think was like, I don't know if they had employees, but he was involved from the get-go. And that's who I'm going to talk about today. These are some of the capabilities we have year-round. But the Food Lab at UT is, like I say, the main reason we're here, and it's a super thing for you guys to know about anyone involved with a food startup. That is why, or one reason they exist. And it was founded back in 2012. I think it was late 2012. University of Texas, and it kind of has one leg in and one leg outside of the university. The founder, Dr. Robin Metcalf, an amazing woman who has an amazing history, and as a food historian, food culturist, food futurist, she kind of does it all. And she and her husband, which many folks know, Bob Metcalf, they're kind of a power duo, and he is also at the University of Texas. But this is really her baby, and we got to know each other, about 2 years ago, and when she decided to move the Food Lab into a new level, and especially starting off with this Food Challenge Prize, we got involved. And I love it because we are involved in more than just straightforward public relations. We help them with everything from finding sponsors, affiliate partners, you know, partnerships at all levels of affiliates who are helping us with both some sponsor money, providing a judge, providing some product, you name it. It's really great because they're kind of a startup in and of themselves. So not many rules of the road, which can make it a little challenging, but it's also a lot of fun. At the end of the day, the Food Challenge Prize, we were open to the world, really, and not just students. But it's the first time event, so that had its challenges. The Food Lab's not so well known, becoming more and more so, and this Food Challenge Prize is helping that. But so we had to get the word out, not only in Austin, Texas, University of Texas, but as far as we could. So we did form a lot of partnerships with academic organizations, and Robin was very helpful in that. I mean, she worked at BU. She has friends all over the globe in that one. So Stanford, MIT, startup Aggie Land, so we had Texas A&M, Babson College, I mean, you name it. So we had a wonderful group of partners to help us promote, as well as partnerships here in the Austin area. At the end of the day, like I said, the prize was all about supporting innovations in the food system, and we had 4 key categories in which people entered, and $30,000 in prizes were given out this past February. And some of our competitors and finalists are right here in the room. and actually should take a break to thank the folks who brought the food today, which we rallied them up. And Hopper Foods, I know from the Food Challenge Prize, he was one of the top 10 finalists, and has an awesome product if you've tried it. So Jack from Hopper showed up. We have Epic Bars. They were not in the Food Challenge Prize, but hopefully they will be this coming year. We have Promitzi, thank you to them, and who am I forgetting? Grandma's Hummus, awesome stuff. Okay, so thanks to them. Anyway, like I say, we did reach out across all areas. We placed bylined articles in advance, and it wasn't even about the challenge, but showing the expertise and leadership of the Food Lab at UT. We did a preview reception here at the Capital Factory with our partners. The Capital Factory was a partner, in fact. Social media, we were hitting it hard. We did email campaigns. We utilized our judges, our mentors, to help spread the news. At the end of the day, we wanted 100 entries. We got about 120 from across the country. And in fact, some of our finalists, 2 of them were from out of state. Wonderful group of mentors, judges. The finals day, we didn't know what to expect. We'd certainly been hitting it hard, but we had more than 300 people. It could have been more. It was from 10 a.m. until around 4 p.m. Daniel was there helping us out, but we had a great turnout. And our partnerships continue. We certainly decided to do it again, so it will be an annual event. And if any of you guys are interested in entering the prize this year or the challenge, go to foodlab.com, utfoodlab.com, sorry. And we'll be announcing the submission time this summer. It'll happen probably around August. Once again, the finals day we've announced too, and that's February 6th of next year. We'll be at the Macomb School on campus. And like I say, you can ask, there's a few folks here who were part of it this past year, and I think you will hear wonderful things. And those are some of our winners right there.
Hi everybody, my name is Jenny Orsak, and I'm with Han Public Communications. We're based here in Austin. We're actually celebrating our 41st year this year, so we've been around a long time. I've been with the agency for about 9, almost 10 years, and I lead our food sector. So I get to work on lots of fun things like Texas shrimp, Texas wines. I lead the account for Whataburger with the agency, so I get to do a lot of cool things with them on media relations and social media. But one of the things I want to talk about today is a little bit different, and that is when things don't always go right in the food space, which we know from a lot of things we're seeing in the news right now certainly can happen. So I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about crisis communications. Let's see. So one of the things that we are really big on at Han is using data and research to drive our communication strategies. So we actually fielded a study on food safety this spring that I'll talk you through some of those highlights, but there's obviously a lot of data out there already on food safety, consumer perceptions of it, but we wanted to take it one step further with our study and look at, once there's been an issue with a food, how do you get those consumers to come back to your brand? Because that's something that we have to work with our clients a lot on, is if they're in the middle of a crisis, how do you get that market share back? So a few just top level findings. One of the questions we asked was, which foods give you the most safety concerns? No big surprises here. Seafood and meat were at the top of the list. Interestingly enough, we fielded this in April, and dairy is at almost the very bottom. Only 24.6 people perceived it to be an unsafe food. I think it would be interesting to field this survey again now that the bluebell crisis is in a very different place than it was when we fielded this, and I'll talk more about how bluebell might be able to come back from this. So another question we asked was, which attributes help you feel that a food is safe? And the top attributes that people listed were grown or produced locally, fresh, raw, or unprocessed, and healthy, high in nutrients. So local, fresh, healthy. Those are the brand attributes that people perceive to be less safe. Kind of interesting. I also thought it was interesting at the bottom of this slide, popular with people I know. For a lot of things we think that people identify with what's popular in their peer group. In this instance, it's not so. So what happens once you decide that a food is unsafe? So you can see from the middle of this chart here, 37.6% of respondents say, I'll never eat it again. But the positive here is you've got, at the very bottom, about a quarter of the population that says, I'll gradually return to it over time, on my own. Okay, and then you've got more than a third at the top, I look for evidence that it's safe. So these are people, in my mind as a communicator, those are the people that we can go after. There's a group that we know we're not going to get back, and we shouldn't spend our marketing and communications dollars on them. We've also got a group that is going to come back anyway. So let's concentrate on that group that's looking for evidence that it's safe and bring them back to our brand. So how do we do that? So what helps you decide food is once again safe? By far and away from the results of this study, it is third-party health experts that people are looking for to really validate their return to that brand. In a close second, proactive response by the company. That's different than what you see at almost the very bottom of this chart, which is an apology by the company. So of course, if you do something wrong, you need to apologize, you need to admit it, but in order to get a you've got to take 10 more steps to get them back into the brand. An apology, especially seeing it on the chart, an apology just doesn't cut it anymore. So, what does that mean for all of you and for brands that are going through a crisis right now? The first thing, and if you don't take anything else away from what I say tonight, it's be prepared. Be prepared, be prepared. There's a lot that you can do on the front end to prepare for any kind of food safety crisis. Think about what those different possibilities, what those scenarios could be, whether it's salmonella or it's a disgruntled employee. There's a lot of different scenarios that you can think about in advance. Go ahead and message, be ready to go, because then if you're in the throes of a crisis, then your life will be much, much easier. And then also on the front end, be thinking about some proactive strategies and tactics that you can put into place. And a lot of them that my colleagues talked about tonight are great, but the more that you can build up that reservoir of goodwill, when you have to cash in a little bit on it during a crisis situation, you'll be in a lot better shape. The next piece of this is ask an expert. So we saw from the data, people will return to a food once they have evidence that it's safe, and it's those third-party experts that they're looking to tell them that it's safe. So the sooner you can enlist those third-party experts, the better. And then the last piece, know your brands. So think about your brand and your brand messaging. We know from research that messages like local, healthy, fresh, already people perceive as being safer than other brand attributes. So how can you capitalize on those with your particular brand? So what do you guys think? Are brands with these kinds of attributes better able to bounce back from a crisis? Maybe so. I'll spend a couple minutes talking about the one that is most top of mind for everybody right now, and that is Bluebell. On this first piece, be prepared. Did Bluebell have a solid crisis comm plan in place when all of this happened? We don't know, we weren't in that war room, but I would venture to say probably not. And if they did, then maybe they didn't adhere to it as closely as they had planned. Did they have proactive strategies and tactics to build community goodwill? Yes. I think on the front end, before this crisis happened, Bluebell was a very, very popular brand. For the first couple weeks of this crisis, they were really able to ride that wave. It wasn't until they didn't disclose that they had known about this that they got dinged. But the first part of this crisis, they were able to really ride that goodwill. On the right side, local, fresh, and healthy. It's a local brand to a lot of people. A lot of people consider it local, even though it's nationwide. So I think they had that. In my opinion, the piece that Bluebell is really needing to focus on now is this middle column, ask an expert. If I worked with them, I would be spending a lot of time preparing a plan to go majorly on the offensive, bring in those third-party experts to help people realize it's safe. If it's a quality assurance program, maybe there's a seal of approval, something like that that needs to go on their packaging, but I think there's a million things that they could do to be more proactive to get themselves out of this, but time will certainly tell. So thank you very much.
Really great. Thank you so much, Jenny. All righty. Mushika or Daniel, are y'all gonna? Okay.
So now we're gonna do Q&A. Yay!
All right. So now we're doing Q&A. All right.
So anyone got questions? Drill these.
Stand up and place it.
No. I have a lot of questions, but I'll start with Spike. I am interested in how you got the ambassadors. You said they didn't necessarily have a media presence, so how did you do that? And then just overall, how did you make them famous?
So there's a lot of different platforms you can use, and you can buy into those, but also you can just use the good old Google and Twitter search, right? And so you can use the homegrown tools for free, and we just start looking for passion points. So again, they weren't passionate about Arby's, they're passionate about meat, right? We did one, in another life, I did one for a scissor company called Fiskars, right? You can't get people passionate about scissors, it's fucking impossible, right? But we found a group of people called scrapbookers who use scissors to create these beautiful things. So again, went out in the world like that. So after we find them, then we give them pieces of content. So in another life with another brand too, I went to Chevy and I said, I want to create an ambassador program for you. They said, no. And I said, give me $2,500. And they said, okay. And so we went in like old school automotive forums and we found this guy named Jared. And Jared has like 12 Twitter followers. He's a social media nobody, but he loves Chevy Camaros. And when they launched the new Chevy Camaro with the new muscle car look, we went to him and go, Jared, you're awesome. We'd love to come out to Dallas, stick a camera in your face, and we want you to talk about what makes you tick. He's like, come on up. So we went with the guy with a handheld camera, and we got the boom mic. $2,500 is our budget. And we sit down with Jared, and we learn that Jared is an immigrant from Ireland. He talks about how he's a graphic designer, and he shows us what influenced him right now, which is like a really drippy, grungy art, right? And he shows us his little Matchbox car collection. And then, yes, the last 45 seconds of the video, the garage door opens, the infernal orange Camaro with the black racing stripes. You know, he revs the engine. He talks about permagrin, which is a term that they use on the forums, which when you put your foot down in it, man, you just smile, right? Which is my terrible Irish accent.
That's good.
Created this piece of content about him, right? It's all about Jared. And we went back to Jared and go, Jared, you are so awesome. Thank you for being such a huge Chevy fan. And we gave him the video and we walked away. We didn't tweet about it, we didn't post it on Chevy.com, we didn't do anything except give him back the piece of content. What did Jared do? He goes back to the forums and he posts it, he goes to YouTube and posts it, the guy gets 15,000 views in a week, he becomes the most influential person on Twitter about Chevy Camaros in the next 2 months, right? We just gave him, we took this, all the time we had this huge spotlight that we shine on ourselves, the brand, all the time to go, look at me, we're so awesome, look at me, but nobody believes us. And so if we start to become famous for the way that we love the people that love us, right, then people are going to be more endeared to us. So it's giving them those pieces of content and saying, you're awesome, we're going to make you influential. So now I don't have to go to bloggers. Now look, bloggers are great and we need to go to them, we need to give them our product to get the word out, but I don't have to keep going back to them again and again and again if I'm raising my own influencers. Does that make sense? We're going to home grow some of those suckers too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Sounds great. All righty. Do we have another question? All right.
Well, you mentioned that the perception of local and fresh had some connectivity to safety, and I personally found that somewhat opposite, but I was wondering if you could comment on the consumer perception of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think, gosh, we had 850 national respondents in this survey and asked them to rank in attribute order what they perceived to correlate most with safety, and I was a little bit surprised with the results too. Kind of interesting, but yeah, that was the correlation that the data showed for us.
Alrighty,
Thank you. Do we have another question? Yeah.
If you look at the blogger space in particular, maybe review sites too, a lot of these guys will write stuff for free, or you'll have that connection with them, and then a lot of them have basically rate cards, display advertising, some affiliate commissions, slotting fees. What are the boundaries, natural or unnatural, between the PR and the pay media worlds?
So when I vetted bloggers, my big deal was that they weren't paid. You know, we're not paying you, we'll give you product to taste and try. And bloggers that did take money and wanted money, I just chose not to work with them. I just looked at them like I look at publications. So publications that are open to your story pitch idea, but they're not looking for money, I just applied the same rules to them as well. So that's a great question. Anybody else? All right, in the back.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about how to sell to ultra high net worth diners. Do you guys have any tips of building credibility amongst that demographic?
Ultra high net worth.
Yeah. Well,
Sarah, do you want to take that?
Well, I think it's finding where your consumer plays and lives. I think partnerships is really important for that. Think about where the ultra high net diner what kind of car they might drive, where else they shop, what are the brands that they look to, as well as the rest of the publications that they're reading, what websites are they looking at. And I think starting there. I had a quote that sort of stuck in my brain from a brand training I took many years ago that was, icons hang out with other icons. So if you're a brand that's looking to really get there, find someone that is sort of on par with you and partner with them.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, any more questions? Yeah.
So how does that translate to sales? Because I suspect Arby's like, this is awesome. What's our
No. Oh, the ROI question. You want ROI? Really? I just want to love on people and make them feel good about themselves. So what we do is we actually concentrate our efforts in 4 or 5 key cities, and we find sister cities that have the same sales trends, but we don't look for meat crafters in those cities. So we just compare month-over-month sales in those cities because we know we're giving them, and we don't give out coupons per se. There is a secret menu item or 2 that we might tell them about, that sort of thing. So we want to drive them into the store. I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie. At the end of the day, I want to make money for my clients, but it definitely is basically concentrating on efforts in cities and then comparing cities where we don't concentrate those efforts. Simple as that.
So those metrics are set before you start the campaign.
Correct. But all the same media is running in those cities. Everything else is the same except for that one component. And so we're able to track. So again, this one's brand new. Like for the Fiskars one, for the scissor one, we were actually able to triple our sales in the first 9 months because of the program, but you have to consider scrapbooking. That's a cult in and of itself. Very, very scary cult.
Actually, how do you do that? Because the World Wide Web is available anywhere.
That's right. But people are more likely to talk to their friends and family first, right? That 90% of word of mouth that happens offline, that's still in our homes, at the pub, you know, wherever that might be. But yes, they are going to spread it online, and that's great too. We'll take them.
Yeah. Thank you.
All righty. Another question up front.
Hi, I'd like to know about, you said the characteristics that are different from your competitors are important. Mm-hmm. So what were Benito's, or what are the, I mean, generally I know, but I want to be sure
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question was unique product, unique value proposition. So the question was, well, what were Benito's? I can't really speak to that specifically, but what's important with that is for you, for the folks out there with a food startup or a food idea, to ask yourself, what do you have that the consumer wants that the competition doesn't offer, and to distill that down to one sentence.
Well, then how did you stand out when you went out to get media attention? Why did they care?
Great question. Why did they care? What you do is you take that value proposition and create a media message that reflects both what Benito's has to offer, and then match that with the media that you're chatting with. So like back to school, so healthy back to school snacks. So when I'm pitching like Self, Shape magazine, I make sure that the message that I'm giving that magazine is aligned with Benito's magazine. It's also what they're going to be interested in writing on.
Okay, got it.
Okay, good. Hey there.
Hi. Another question for you, Lexi. I don't think it's working. So you mentioned with the third-party people, so the dietitians, you just kind of tweeted. What about the Hollywood moms? How did you break into that world?
That was kind of interesting.
Repeat the question.
So, healthy Hollywood moms, as a third-party influencer was the question, and how did I reach out to them? Well, I first started reaching them out to them on Twitter, and then it just kind of grew from there, and then they started approaching us after a while. So those celebrity product parties, it kind of flows both ways. So they're getting attention from it, and then you also work with other like-minded products, other healthy products, to create a bigger party, a bigger boost. So, question in the back, Frederico?
Yes. So, is there anything specific about Austin that may not work in any other city but would really work well in Austin, or is it just like every other city?
So, in terms of your question, are you talking about a food startup, or are you talking about media?
Reaching out, PR, getting people in Austin excited about whatever you're doing.
Okay, I have some thoughts on that, but I'm sure other people do too. Jenny, you want to take that?
Yeah. I think Austin is a really cool and unique market. I think from a media perspective, the reporters that I work with on a daily basis are really open to new and innovative ideas. I think the great thing about Austin is that we are a community-minded city, so I think anytime that you can tie in some kind of community relations to what you're doing, then that will really help you get the Austin community involved and behind what you're doing. You've got to be a good neighbor.
And I can just echo, because I've worked in multiple media markets, but I would say a lot of that holds true wherever you are. I mean, I've worked in Boston, DC, New York. New York is probably a little different, no doubt about it. But yeah, knowing the heartbeat of that community, and like I say, tying in with the community relations part is always huge. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is really a lot the same, I think, from market to market. And other gals we work with, say in Dallas, we use a lot of the same tactics. You need to know your market well and follow those media publications and know who's who and connect with that.
Yeah, well said. Another question? All righty, in the back.
It would seem to me that I'm starting to feel like there would be no point in getting national exposure if you can't deliver nationally. In other words, if we're only selling at about 10 or 12 stores, we have something we think will take off. If we get some opportunity to be in the Food Network or Oprah or something like that, it would almost be squandering that opportunity because we'd be unable to fulfill in 95% of the country. How do you feel about that? Should we
I think that's I had that conversation with my CEO at Benito's, and the thought I had was, Doug, we need to get that national PR, even if we are not a national company, because we're going to be there eventually. And then also that national PR carries truck with whatever regional or local market that you have. And national PR begets national PR. In the past, the media was really sort of not so much. If their readers couldn't get your product in their market, they were a little hesitant to report on you. But now, there's such a great food is the new black. The media is reporting on food like never before, and media loves to go, "Hey, wow! I found this amazing new cold brewed coffee out of Austin. No one's ever tried it before." So they want to be the first one to bring that to attention. But that's a great question. Any other questions?
We've got time for about one or two more. Whoever's got a burning question. Okay, I got a burning question.
All right, Daniel, go.
So I've got a lean, like really nimble, lean startup, and I want to get some PR support because I can't do everything myself. How much do you guys cost, and how do I navigate that space? Like, I know we've got the boutique, and then we've got like the global, and it's like, I don't even know where to begin. Do I go to the boutique because they'll maybe do stuff, because they don't have as many clients, or do I go to the big guy because they might help me because they like me and they've got lots of resources to give away? Like, how do I navigate that space?
That's a great question. I feel that reach out and have that conversation. Don't be afraid just because Edelman's huge or Weber Shandwick's huge that they're going to be like, no soup for you, Daniel.
Speak to that. Sure. Yes, well, you're right. Don't be afraid to reach out because I think it really depends on the situation of the client, and I think that Spike will probably agree that we're passionate about all of our clients, no matter what the budget is. And so, it's one of those things that we start with a conversation, we figure out what the goals and objectives are, and we kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to pass up a good idea because that way we all get rich together. But, you know, also at the end of the day, well, not at the end of the day. So we're never going to pass up those good ideas, especially if there's chances for you guys to get funded or wherever it might be. I mean, typically, though, we don't take anything less than 10 grand a month to walk in the door to answer the question directly, if you will. But at the same time, we have worked for much less, especially if it's a good idea that we know we can help that client grow, because there is that big differentiating thing that nobody else has, and we want to be a part of it.
That was very brave, Spike.
No one wants to talk about money.
I would also add in, be ready to commit for the long haul. I mean, there is a nice dating situation, which I know our firm can do. We're smaller, we're lean, and we have lower overhead. But I always say minimum, you need to give us a minimum of 10 months to show any kind of results. And really, that's too short as well. It should be at least a year. So when you're thinking PR, think marathon and not sprint.
I think we've got one more burning, but we're gonna let her finish this.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish this up.
Okay, I just wanted, it's just kind of the broad subject of like newsjacking, because what I see with food is if one media covers it, it's like everybody covers it. You know what I mean? Like it becomes like this 24 or 48 hour trend. Do you find that, and do you try to capitalize on it?
Jenny, do you want to take that for a crisis? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely true in crisis situations. But I think overall, one thing that I'm really seeing a lot of is media reporting on what's trending on social media. I think, yeah, it's amazing to me the things that media will cover now that are really softball types of things, that if we can get trending on social and that's where the conversation is, then they're very, very likely to cover it. So I think that's a really easy way, low-cost way. If you are a startup, you don't have a lot of resources, if you can find a really interesting and compelling way to insert yourself into a conversation that's trending and is really hot, then the chances of media watching that and picking up on it are pretty big.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Can we give them a round of applause?
All righty. Thank you so much, guys.
Let's give them, a big round of applause, please, folks, for coming out. Again, this is a little bit different than we normally do because we normally have the startups on the booths, and usually the folks who have got really wonderful services for them kind of come and talk with them. So tonight we're going to be around here for a little bit longer. I just got a couple slides I want to share with you before we go. Upcoming, we do these once a month. The official meetup is once a month, and you'll see those on the meetup page, foodtechatx.com. But we do have other little events and those sorts of things that come up, and so the next one will actually be on June 13th. There's a really cool 5K run. I was trying to think of fun things to do besides just have panels and but like that would help with entrepreneur wellness. And so there's a Fit Foodie 5K. So if anybody wants to go running with me, I created a team, Food Tech ATX, and it will be on my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. So that's maybe I should get a hashtag like Asiago Run or something. Anyways, but yeah, I'd be honored to run with you guys. It is, I got us a discount, but it is a cash thing, and if cash is the thing, come let me know, and we'll see if I can support you in that in some way. So June 13th, you'll see all the meetup details. There's also another offer that I got from them. If there's going to be about 2,000 people who are really interested in the food and wellness space in Austin running that run over in the Mueller development. And so if you want to get your startup in front of all those at the big bash at the end where all the runners come in high on endorphins to eat your food and that sort of stuff, I got us a special discount for table booths there. So you can find out the details on the website as well if you're interested in having a booth at that. The next official meetup will be July 6th. And then, well, maybe we should point at Jack and Harmon back there. Do you guys want to say anything about what the July 6th meetup is going to be about?
I really don't know much about this. It's going to be our next topic. So we're going to have us and Aspire, who are a company in town to Richmond County Bonus Guy, to cricket stand in Carl, and then a couple of other property stars.
Long story short, edible insects, also we're focusing on how to create a new industry or a new product that we bring it to the market and what kind of biases you may face and how to overcome those. Feeding Americans insects, it's a whole long story.
They really, really do have to kind of create a whole new industry. So if you really want to be on the verge of this, definitely be sure to come out to that one. All that can be RSVP'd at foodtechatx.com. If you enjoyed tonight, if it's your first time tonight, or maybe it's your third or fourth time tonight, and you really find value in this community, my request to you all tonight is to go onto the website and leave feedback. Now, I'm hoping you'll put good feedback. If you're not going to put good feedback, give me a call. We'll go have a coffee. You know, we'll talk about it. So if you got good stuff, put it on there. And I'd love to see us create value as a community, because sometimes when you don't have all the capital in your pocket, sometimes social capital can really take you a long way when you're starting up. So that's kind of why we exist. We are a paid membership group, so it's $5 a year. That probably will go up next year, but really it was to keep out the freegans. That's kind of the reason that I did it. So yeah, if you sign up, you're always welcome to be part of the membership. But if you want the cool badge and all that sort of stuff, feel free to sign up. So now what we're going to do is we really want, you made the investment in your time and resources to come down here. I'm going to invite the panelists to stand up first and go back to their table. So we'll go ahead and have them stand up. And so what we're going to do here is, one thing that you really need to do when you're a startup entrepreneur is learn to make requests, right? You can't do everything alone. You need to identify opportunities and get help and make requests. And so what these guys volunteered their time to come out to kind of be like mentors. Yeah, they were speakers, but they also are going to be mentors for you guys tonight. So what we want you to do is to practice the following. Is when you get up and talk with them, maybe you found one or two firms that you want to talk to tonight, you're going to state your name, obviously. You're going to offer, basically it's kind of your elevator pitch for your company, right? You're going to tell them about, oh, the awesome dairy-free chocolates that, I'm looking at the lady who's got the no-cow chocolate bars, which is really delicious. She's going to do her quick elevator pitch, and then she's going to make a request. And my recommendation is don't make it a big request, like, I need PR help. Yeah. Because but when you're able to say something a little bit more specific, like, hey, I need to target, this person on a Twitter profile, et cetera, they'll be able to identify resources and help you. And if they're not the firm for you, great, you save time and you go to the next one, right? And so name, offer, requests, and be sure to mark your calendars for July 6th. And I want to thank all the sponsors, Capital Factory, Hopper, Premzy, Epic, Grandma, of course, can't forget Grandma. They have new branding. I don't like their new branding. That's the old branding. Go look at the old branding. Thank you guys so much. I want to applaud you for you guys create this community. So make sure you add value not only to your own initiative tonight, but also to the initiative of each other's tonight. Okay, so thank you very much.